What do you think's really worse, being alive and being too scared to live, or living your whole life being afraid to die? Because I've been thinking about that a lot, and I don't really realize how much fear quietly runs around in our lives from a day to day. Not loud fear, not, the obvious kind, but that subtle kind of fear, that kind that sounds like, I'll do it later, or I'm not ready yet. What if it doesn't work? And it doesn't feel like fear, it just feels like you're being careful, right? You're being precautious, responsible. But when you really sit with it, how much of your life are you actually not living because you're trying to avoid something going wrong? Because I catch myself doing it as well, wanting to move but hesitating, freezing up, wanting to try something new but always overthinking it, wanting, more but staring where I'm comfortable. And it made me realize something that bothers me slick. I'm not gonna lie. You can be alive and still not really be living. I think I've heard that once or twice before. But, technically, you're here. You wake up, you go through your daily routine, you do what you're supposed to be doing, but inside, you're holding back. You're not saying what you really feel. You're not going after what you really want in life. Not taking, the necessary risk that could actually change your life. Why is that? Because we're scared. And that fear doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it looks like staying the same. And then on the other side of it, there's this fear of dying, which is real, of course. Because nobody knows what happens after. Nobody knows when. So it makes sense why we hold on to what feels safe, even when you have faith in what happens afterwards. But it's like, in trying so hard to avoid the end, are we missing the middle? Are we missing the actual experience of being here? Because what's the point of having time if you don't actually use it? And I'm not saying go out and do something extreme and scream YOLO. 2011, that's pretty much what kids were doing. Have you seen that movie Project X? Project X? But back to the subject at hand. Because I'm not saying, go out and do something extreme. I'm saying be honest with yourself. Where are you holding back? And I have to ask myself this all the time. And most of the time, we already know the answer. What are you avoiding? What have we been telling ourselves we'll do, one day? And we keep pushing it off. What's that for you? What do you keep pushing off? Because that one day quietly turns into years. And that's the part that gets me. Not the idea of dying, but the idea of looking back and realizing you didn't even really live the way you wanted to. Because you were waiting. And waiting on what? Waiting to feel ready? Waiting for the right time? Waiting for things to make sense? And life doesn't really pause like that. It keeps going and going. With or without you. Fully being in it, unfortunately. And I think the real question isn't just, which one is worse. It's, what are you choosing right now? Because every day in small ways, I know I either lean into living or I lean into fear. And I'm learning it doesn't have to be a big moment. It can be small. Saying something you usually wouldn't. Trying something you've been putting off. Letting go of something that's really been holding me back at work. I'm in sales if you've been keeping up with me lately. But just choosing to live a little more honestly, a little more fully, even if it's uncomfortable. Life is uncomfortable. Because maybe that's what being alive is supposed to feel like. Uncomfortable. Not perfect, but real. And if you made it this far in the video, I just want you to think about that. Not in a heavy way, just honestly. Where are you in life? Are you holding back? And what would it look like, if you gave a little more? You don't have to change everything today. You're a grateful heart. Your cup is meant to be filled. So, just do something. That will be enough. I love you. I appreciate you. I'll sit with you in the next one. Peace.